Hello, fellow option traders. This is Jeff, and let's talk about time decay. Time decay is defined by the Greek called theta. And theta, and I like this website, it's called riskreversal.com. It's a pretty nice website. You might want to cruise around a little bit on it. But theta is the amount of money an option loses in a day. So that means that if you have negative theta, you must be a net owner of options. And that means that as time goes on, they're going to lose money. What we want to be is a net seller of options and have positive theta, because that's the amount of money that we collect each day. So each day that we own the option, we collect more money. And it also accelerates over time. Theta is greatest for at-the-money option and gets larger the closer the option gets to expiration. That's the other part. Now, when we're dealing with weekly options, theta is a big deal because they lose money very rapidly if you're long options. And in 1 week, in 5 days, they can go from, whatever you might have bought it for, say like $10 for an apple, and if the price doesn't move at all, and at the money option, at the end of the week, it's not going to be worth squat. Theta is the other side of the coin of gamma. A large positive gamma position will correspond with a large negative theta position. I don't pay much attention to gamma typically. Theta and delta are the two that I pay the most attention to. Your theta position tells you how much money you will lose or make every day if everything stays status quo. So traders don't like to see a big negative theta position going into a weekend, especially a long weekend. All right, so that's enough of that. What does theta actually do? For those of you who may not have had any experience with time decay and looking at a graph of a typical time decay, here on the same website from a post on May 29th, 2012, is the chart of the day, beware options time decay. And in this example, this is a 120-day option contract. And you can see that after the first 30 days, with 90 days left, it hasn't lost very much value. That is provided that the price stays the same. Of course, if it goes deeper into the money, then theta is going to not affect it so much until the delta gets to 100, then there really is no theta. All right, so the next 30 days or 60 days to expiration, it drops a little bit more. But at 30 days before expiration, you can see here that it's starting to lose its value pretty rapidly. And then in the final 30 days, it goes from approximately 70% of the value down to 0. The original value up here, and this maybe is 90, and maybe this is 80, maybe this is 90, 80, and then all of a sudden it starts sinking fast. This might be 60, and then it goes to 0. This you can see in real life. Let's jump over to the Thinkorswim platform, and we'll take a look at Apple. Here I have some examples. I have 100 shares of Apple, and if we look at 100 shares of Apple, we'll see the delta is 100. So that means that for every dollar increase in the price of Apple, if you own 100 shares, you're going to make $100. That's what delta is telling you. If delta was 50 and Apple went up $1, you would make $50. It's pretty simple with that, but it gets a little bit more complex when we start looking at options. Let's look at one that is 5 days to expiration. This is a February 2, which is next Friday. We have 5 trading days to expiration, If you wanted to just buy this outright, it would cost you $5.45. The delta is 49, so that's a at the money, roughly at the money option. Delta is usually around 50, and theta is a minus 43. So you're going to pay $545 for this, and the very first day you're going to lose $43.57 on it. So if the stock doesn't move, you've already lost money after the first day. Of course, if it moves, it's a different story, and I have to admit that, but I'm just trying to illustrate what theta can do to your trade and why we want to be net positive theta. So if we were to take a look at a risk profile on that, here it is. I spread this out a lot here so that I could emphasize the difference here. And let's advance one day. So this is today, the 9th. We'll go to the 10th. Today's not a trading day, but these are just theoretical calculations based on this Jerkson-Stensland model here. And you can see now that theta is at 47.50 and you already lost almost $55. Advance one more day. The white line here is your profit and loss line. Now we are up to $52 a day, and profit and loss is 107 since we opened the trade. Now we go to, this is only Wednesday, right? Yeah, this is only Wednesday the 12th. And the price has not moved, or it might have moved up and it came back down, who knows. But if the price stays the same, we lost $167 and our theta is up to $60 a day. If we go to Thursday, we lost $239, our theta is up to 71. And then, are we at Friday? Yes, we are at Friday. Option doesn't expire until 4 o'clock on Friday. But, let me reset the slices here. We have lost $332, and if we hold it until 4 o'clock and they settle at 4:05 in the afternoon Eastern Time, you will have lost everything. So you would have lost the entire $545 that you paid for it if the price doesn't move. So what does this particular graph that we looked at back here, what does this look like on a weekly when we only have 5 days to expiration? Well, if we were to look at this in theory, the curve would pretty much look like this, only we would have Friday, Thursday, Wednesday. This is like from Tuesday to Friday. This is how much this price would drop. How does that look on a real graph? Well, I wrote down some of these prices and I threw them into a spreadsheet. And here's that same 545 option. And these are, I went over to, let me show you what I did. I went over to Thinkorswim, over to the simulated trades, and I opened up this chain here and I said, I want theoretical price. And I went, let's see here, this is Sunday. Started out at Sunday. And this is midpoint. This 538 is a midpoint between the 530 and the 545. But if you buy it, you would be paying the ask price, probably. You might get a slightly better price. But you would be paying the ask price for 545. Make that assumption, midpoint 538. And then as we advance it each day by clicking the up arrow here, we can see that it's now down to, let's highlight that, 490, 437, 377, 306, 212, and then finally 0. So that's how I got these numbers that I put over here on this spreadsheet. All right, so let's graph that and see what it looks like. We'll go over here to insert, and we're going to put a graph in here. And there it is. Pretty much looks like this one. Pretty much, anyway. So here we start out at this theoretical 538. And it's pretty much a straight line throughout the week until we get to Friday. Then we take a kind of a big hit on Friday, and then we lose everything at the end of the day on Friday. Some of the other things that I did here, some of the other plots that I did was I took how much it was actually losing each day. So it starts out at 393, and we can graph that too. Starts out at 393 per day, goes up to $20, $22.05, and then finally it loses everything right away. So it's the inverse of the other graph. So the other graph was how much it was worth, showed the loss on that, and this is how much you're losing, shows the gain on that. Okay, so we definitely want to be net sellers of options. We want positive theta. Let's reset the parameters. Let's go take a look at a March, a regular March monthly expiration. Here we can see the theta is at 1839, which is much better than the theta that we have for the weekly expiration of next Friday, which is 43.57. That's a little bit better. We could go out here and take a look at a long-term option, which they typically call a leap. This is January of next year, their expiration, and you can see here that it's losing 619 a day. I'll go back here to what I typically look at. So the further away from expiration, the less time decay you have, but the more you pay for it. These are all at the 520 strike, and it starts out at 545 for next Friday. The regular March expiration is 1575, and the January leap is 47.45. So if you have $4,745 to buy this leap, you might make out. But remember, even though Apple right now at this particular strike, if Apple goes up $1, you're only going to get 49 cents out of that. So you have to keep that in mind. All right. What do we want to do to be net sellers? Well, we want to do credit spreads. We want to do iron condors. We want to do limited risk credit type trades that will give us the positive theta that we would like to have. You can do debit trades as well and end up with positive theta if you are at the right price. Remember, we want to take advantage of time decay, and I would rather do my time decay in 5 days or 4 days or 3 days, 2 days, or even the same day rather than hanging on over a weekend, which is where I've been leaning more and more recently. I do not want to hold over a weekend just because I'm really afraid of which way it's going to move on Monday, especially when I'm doing at-the-money trades. So let's take advantage of the rapid time decay of the last 2 or 3 or even 4 days before expiration to get the biggest bang for the buck. All right, that's all I have to say about theta and time decay. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day and happy trading.